We're behind. They're all fired up. What we got to do? First place, our defense has got to go out there and take the ball. And when we get the ball, we got to have 11 people that's going to do their job and try to score every time you get the football. If we do that, we'll be all right. Do that, we'll be all right.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Football University with me, Matt Caddell. Listen, I hope y'all had an amazing week, an amazing weekend. We got so much to talk about. This is going to probably be one of the most action-packed shows that I've had in a while. Listen, get in that comment section, or we like to refer to as the student section. Let me know your comments. What do you want to talk about? Of course, we're going to talk about A-Day, the experience. I've got to have a lot of different interesting conversations while in T-Town. And we're going to discuss some NFL. We got a lot of NFL stuff to get to today, from draft to contracts to some of everything. So, listen, the Football University, it's the University of Football. I'm your de facto professor discussing football. And, we find a way to bring it back to the University of Alabama. So, listen, thanks for joining. Tune in, get in that comment section. Let me know your thoughts. But, yeah, we'll definitely start with A-Day. But, yeah, that's what I say. We're here on the CTS-Sports room. Thanks for tuning in on Monday. So let's get our first comment. Jeff Stapleton, shouts out to Jeff Stapleton. He is a regular. He does an amazing job. He says, listen, Matt, Bama under DeBoer has a balanced offense and defense. Jam Miller is a baller, roll tide. Yeah, I think one thing just to kind of set it up with A-Day, first I want to say thank you to the fans. I think looking at what Kalen DeBoer had coming from Washington and coming in Tuscaloosa, University of Alabama, having 72,000, I think 358 or 538, one of the two. I think that is huge. A lot of excitement, a lot of momentum for this team, this staff. So just want to shout out to all you fans out there in Tuscaloosa. Y'all did an amazing, amazing job. Kudos to you all. But, yeah, back to A-Day, it being Kalen DeBoer's first A-Day in Tuscaloosa on the capstone. It was a bit different. He didn't have the format as of, kind of what we've been accustomed to the past, 17 or so years under Coach Saban. It was mainly more so offense versus defense. They had a ranking skill system. The defense went 3 and out. I believe that was 3 points. Turnovers, all those things kind of, varied for points. But to your point, Kalen DeBoer, he has Alabama, the offense looking really good. I thought Jalen Milroe, we're going to discuss a little bit later, looked probably the best. I think him and Todd Simpson are probably the top 2 quarterbacks in that quarterback room. But, yeah, the offense definitely looked balanced. We're looking like we're going to score a lot of points and utilize a lot of weapons. I think that's what I'm so excited about. Just leaving my post-game thoughts. Offensive line did a lot better than I thought. Running game looked very good. I thought all three running backs, from Jam Miller, Justice Haynes to Richard Young, I thought Richard Young, to me, made the biggest splash out of the running back room. You know what you were going to get from Justice Haynes. You look at Jam Miller, I mean, hitting the scenes, but all three running backs did their thing. But listen, Richard Young, man, he showed power. He showed physicality. He showed elusiveness. He showed hitting the hole, one cut and go. So I was glad to see how those guys in that running back room. But to your point, Jeff Saban, I think we're going to be balanced on offense and defense. Yeah. Uh, um, let's go to another comment. C. Bama, thanks for tuning in. She says, we need big DBs and wide receivers. Alabama make Alabama solid again. Meat and potatoes. Yeah, I think we got pretty good size. Especially I'll start with the DBs. I just think we're so used to a type of aggressiveness type of DB under Coach Saban. Demani Jackson, he did, they got pieces, but it's different going in the SEC. I think you're referring to their weight. I'm quite sure a lot of these guys going to put on weight, but I just wanted the defensive secondary just to be a little bit more aggressive, kind of what we've been kind of accustomed to, physical at the line of scrimmage, physical stopping the run, and physical on attacking the ball. I think that would come. All of this is new undergoing Coach Mo Linguist, Herschler, the safeties coach, and Kane Womack. So I think it'll get it ironed out. But yeah, I think the defensive secondary can be a lot more physical. And, I will say this. I know a lot of people were kind of saying, man, our defense is not going to be great. Listen, a lot of that was by design. They did not want to show a lot of, blitzing packages, coverage in packages, because, it's on national television. You got opposing teams always trying to get a one leg up on, breaking down film on opponents and things like that. So, yeah, I kind of knew some of the conversations I had with the coaches Friday night, how vanilla it was going to be, just mainly cover three, nothing to really, not many blitzes, it's just very vanilla, elementary, kindergarten type defense. So that goes in a lot, but to the heyday performance. So I know a lot of Bama fans were freaking out about the defense. You had a right to, but listen, yeah, the defense I believe will be fine. You got to think Jaheim Otis was out. Jihad Campbell was out as well. So you kind of missing some veteran leadership on the defensive end. Still bringing in a new secondary, so that's got a lot to work on. New secondaries coach, so it's a lot. But one good thing about spring is not the final product. We still have a long way to go, especially under a new regime. You still gotta, like Coach Saban say, you gotta bake the cake and oven. We're putting the ingredients together, so it's gonna be a lot. We're gonna need a lot of depth in certain areas, so I'm quite sure that they're going to be looking to, develop a lot more depth and a lot more quality guys in certain positions. So thanks for those comments. Let's see. So let's go to my first comment. Like I said, we got a ton of stuff to discuss. Great comment, C. Bama. We're going to come to your comment real quick, Jeff Saban, but I want to highlight the 8A, kind of just my initial thoughts. Let's see. I want to start with Jalen Milroe. I thought Milroe looked phenomenal. I think he had the best throw of the I thought he had the best throw of 8A, going from the left hash, throwing a deep over route to Jermaine Bernard. Listen, it looks like him and Jeremy Bernard have a little connection, a great rapport. Milroe looks so much better. He looked like he tweaked his his throwing motion. Looks like he has better footwork, awareness, moving the pocket, especially from him and Ty Simpson. They look like they were just more confident, just seeing where pressure's coming. And another thing Milroe looks so great at, he looks so calm and poised. I think last year Having Tommy Rees and Bill O'Brien not really having the confidence being instilled in him and not really having the quarterbacks coach really teach him. He looked like a totally different quarterback. And, Miro looked calm, poised. His throwing motion balls were coming out. He was accurate. It looked like he had more touch. Things that we've been talking on this show that we want Miro to get better at. I think he showed at the 8A. He looked calm, poised, and throwing a better ball. So kudos to Miro. And I want to shout out Jeremy Bernard because it looks like him and Miro have a really good connection. That's going to be another weapon that we can use here in this offense. I think he was the only receiver to go over 100 yards receiving. But yeah, Miro looked really, really solid, looked really, really good in this offense. So I want to shout out Miro. Continue to do your thing because, man, listen, sky's the limit. We're going to need it. Obviously, the offense is kind of going to have to, bring the defense along. Kind of like how the Chiefs have won so many Super Bowls the past couple of years where, the offense is so explosive, and the defense kind of starts getting their act together as the season progresses. I think that's kind of the model we're going to have initially moving forward. But I think it's going to pay dividends. I think we finally have a creative offense underneath Sheridan. Got to reach out, talk to him, just about talking about creative playbooks. I don't know. I was trying to create another word regarding creativity in playbooks, on Friday night and things like that. But I mean, the sky's the limit. I know they were really vanilla just on offense. So, but yeah, I was glad to see Milroe to Bernard. Since we're talking about receivers, I want to say, the receivers look good. Jeremy Bernard looked good. Caleb Odom. Cole Adams was a surprise. I think he could be kind of another. I don't want to give him a Hunter Renfrow comp, but that's kind of like his comp in college. He made a lot of catches, but overall, I think the receiving core had about 4 or 5 drops. Maybe 6 drops. I think that's something we can continue to improve on. I know Coach Jamarcus Shepard, probably the top receivers coach in the country. He's going to be making sure those guys do not drop the ball. His mantra is taking the ball. So it's a lot of, I think some Milroe threw a couple darts to some receivers and it went right through the hands. So the ball was into play. So if receivers catch him, I think him and Ty Simpson have better completion percentage. So I want to highlight the receivers. Receivers look good, but we still have a lot to improve. That's why I said this is not a finished product like we're used to seeing. So we discussed Milroe, the receivers. I talked about Milroe's throwing motion. I want to discuss the offensive line. I thought the offensive line really held their own. I thought the offensive line really held their own. One good thing I was glad to see was not really many bad snaps, which was, a plus. We did have maybe 2 or 3 kind of towards, as the 8A scrimmage progressed, but I think those are things we can get ironed out. James Brockenmeyer, I think he did a solid job with the snaps. So I think the offensive line is going to be solid. Jeff Stapleton mentioned the transfer portal. I do think we kind of look into the portal for certain positions, especially offensive line, just a little bit more veteranship. Maybe possibly the secondary. We did lose Earl Little, Amos, Caleb Downs. So we did acquire Sab from Michigan. We got Malachi Moore. So I just think we still need depth behind those guys because, look, it's a lot of football to be played on special teams. We rotate a lot of guys, so we're still trying to iron out this thing. So it's going to be exciting to see. The portal does open, so it's going to be interesting to see how this spring portal window happens. Now, in the spring, you cannot no SEC schools are going to be able to go to any other SEC schools. So if we're going to acquire somebody out the portal, it's going to have to be somebody from the Pac-12, ACC, um, Big Ten, Big 12, a non-conference player. So just kind of be on the lookout for that regarding the transfer portal. So it's no inter-conference transferring in the spring transfer window. So let's get to the comments. Let's see. Yeah, see, Bama says, yeah, definitely get better. No more light arm tackling. I pray we get better with that. Yeah, I want to say, I don't want to say a disappointment, just not what I'm used to. The defense did look like they had a lot of missed tackles. Now, I know we're vanilla on defense, but I did see a lot of missed tackles initially, and I did hear a report Devontae Smith, got the defense because they were getting blown out. Got the defense, hold it up, and let them know, listen, we need to make plays. And they made this a game, coming back. I think they lost 34-28. So they made stops when it needed to be. But initially, it was a lot of missed tackles. Like I said, I think it was a lot kind of going on, being under the lights, new regime, So now I think these guys know what they need to work on. But yeah, I definitely think that the tackling's got to improve. Just being no more trying to arm tackle. We need to hit guys back, wrap up, be a little bit more physical, especially in the secondary level. The linebackers, they look pretty good. The up front seven look good, but definitely from the secondary, I just want to see a little bit more aggressiveness from the secondary, especially from the cornerback position. I just want to see a little bit more aggressive, but definitely we got to get those tackles because this is SEC. It is physical, week in and week out. So we got to be able to go up against the likes of Georgia. Missouri is going to be physical. Tennessee, LSU is going to be tough. So we got to be able to maintain it and play at a high level, tackle at a high level for throughout the whole season if we want to reach our goals. So great comment right there from C. Bama. Jeff Saban says, yeah, Young is hard to stop. He's really good at changing levels, carry the defense with him. Yeah, he is. Richard Young, I said it last week. I thought he would be a surprise coming out in the spring, and he just really impressed me. It looked like he just had it all. Physical at the point of attack, running the ball. Like he's not trying to, just kind of go down easy. He's going to impose his will. I think one touchdown run, he broke to the outside, and he had like three defenders there. He just ran them all over. So, good to see him like that. So I think he adds another dynamic in this running backfield. I think they're going to be a three-headed monster. Jam Miller, Justice, and Richard Young. I think they all can do. But Richard Young he had a coming out party. He's letting them know, like, listen, I am somebody that you need to deal with, and I think that's just going to pay dividends for us throughout the season because we know the SEC season is a long season. You're going to need 3-4 running backs to do what you want to do to be successful in this league because it's a long physical season. I'm just being honest. So we're going to need as much depth as possible in that running back room. And I'm just glad most of the guys were healthy for us moving forward in the season. So, yeah, Richard Young is nasty. Let's see what C. Bama. Shouts out to C. Bama. He says, Young was ready last year, him and Jam Miller. Yeah, him, I thought, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was Tommy Reese's offensive system, but I thought we just could have ran the ball so much more last year. You look at the Rose Bowl game, not Justice Haynes, but Jason McClellan, who's a really, really, really good running back. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. Justice Haynes came in the game versus Michigan. He couldn't be stopped, but then we go away from it. So, we just run the ball, give those guys like Jam Miller, Richard Young, some more rushes. I think that's going to play dividends for us, especially offensively, being able to control the game, put up points, kind of put defenses on their heels, forcing the offenses to kind of score points. So, I think that's going to play dividends for us down the road. Yeah, I think we're gonna be fine. So let's stay in the comment section. Uh, listen, Joe Saban says, yeah, Justice Haynes has really developed. Yeah, he has his game. Just another complete running back. But that Richie Young just really stood out with me. Just his physicality at the point of contact, his running style, kind of reminded me of a little bit of an Adrian Peterson kind of, elusive, can run you, make one cut and go, but physical and the physical in his running style. Justice Haynes gives you some of everything. He's more lateral quickness. He can do a lot of just a lot of different types of lateral movement. Whereas, Jam Miller's one cut and go, he can get 50 real quick. So we got just a different, and don't forget Daniel Hill. So he's just a freshman coming straight from high school. So I think I'm excited about our running back room. I do think we have probably one of the best running back rooms in the country. Let's go to one more comment. It says 6-0. Shouts out to 6-0. It says, we're going to be all right. I like the direction Coach D is taking this team. Players look motivated and starved. RTR. Yeah, they look very hungry. Like I said, we've got a lot to work on. I believe Coach Romick's defense is going to be fine. I think they're going to fine tune some things just to get more physical. I just think it was a lot of nuances, not to make excuses for the defense or anything, but it was a lot going on. Whether it was, new system, having to put it all together, going out there, maybe, now we know what we need to work on. We got to be physical at the point of attack, and that's everybody playing, being physical. So, especially in the secondary, I think we got to be a little bit more aggressive, physical on the defensive end. We can get that iron up, to kind of tweak some drills and things like that. I think we'll be fine regarding, that physical defense that we have. But so let's get to my next topic. Great comments there. Thank you, 6-0. Like I said, I think the offense is going to be ahead of the defense. I think the offense is going to, like I said, I mentioned the Chiefs, how, usually the Chiefs are offense a little bit ahead of the defense at the beginning of the season, and then the defense kind of catches up towards the end. I think that's kind of initially where I think we're going to be right now, just because we're, have so many new faces on the secondary. We got a lot of experience. We got some experience. You look at Malachi Moore, Sapp, and all those guys. But I think, the season gets here, the game will slow down. I think we'll be fine. But I'm quite sure we can still garner a lot more depth from, certain guys in the secondary for sure. I mentioned that we've already discussed those things. Mentioned Jam Miller. Mentioned shouts out to the secondary. So let's get to your comments. Velma Sotomayor says, "Roll Tide, Roll Tide." Velma Sotomayor. Yeah, everybody knew DeBoer wasn't showing his full hand. This is very, very, very vanilla. I mean, it was just about as vanilla as it could be, offensive and defensively, especially defense. They didn't really show it. Now, I think things we could have improved on defensively, we missed a lot of tackles. You're not used to Alabama not being missing that many tackles. And I think one thing that we were not used to seeing is the aggressiveness from the secondary. I think that's kind of a little different from what we're so used to seeing the past 17 years. So I have confidence in Coach Linguist that they'll be aggressive at stopping the run, and then because I think that's going to help them be aggressive playing receivers, playing coverages, and things like that. So front seven under the leadership of Freddie Roach, those guys, they look very, very, very good, physical at the point of contact, making plays, getting the backfield. Quay Russaw, James Smith, all those guys. And we got guys that haven't even enrolled yet for the summer. So it's going to be exciting to see how this plays out. So, yeah, I'm excited to see this team. I think we're going in the right direction. Yeah. Coach DeBoer wasn't showing anything for sure. Douglas Caddell says, "Roll Tide, roll." M. Davis says, "RTR." Somebody said, I think we should get Scott Cochran on the sideline at a game if possible. Him, Roll Tide Willie. Mr. Energy by David Ballou is doing an excellent job. Keep up the good work. I mean, the energy is gonna come. You know, it's a spring game. Y'all been practicing on each other for 14 straight practices. So, and, you know, you kind of some things you kind of anticipated or whatnot. But I think they'll figure out the energy. My thing is you get energy by the way you play. You go lay your hat on somebody and pop those pads. That's where you get energy. You make plays. That's how you generate energy. So we need to start faster. I know the offense started fast. And then, you know, the defense kind of started a little bit slow. So we just got to start fast, making plays, laying the wood on defense, and I think we'll be fine. So, but yeah, great comment right there by C. C. Bama. So let's get to a few more comments. My next topic. Let's talk about Coach Saban. So, I mean, I just want to get y'all thoughts. Just not having Coach Saban on the sideline, you know, it's a little bit different. Not seeing him on the sideline, you know, under now is Coach Kalen DeBoer's regime, but Coach Saban had an interesting week last week. You know, he was on the boat with Miss Terry, had facial hair and everything, and the next thing you know, he was at the Masters, watching the Masters. And you know, they asked him, I think Laura Rutledge asked him at the Masters, you know, what's life been like since you've been retired? And he talked about having the 12 commandments of retirement and make sure he does his chores first. And then once he does all his chores, he can go play golf, which I thought that was pretty cool. But then, you know, Alabama, they had celebrated the captains from last year. And we know the captains last year, Dallas Turner, Jalen Milroe, and Malachi Moore, they got their foot placed in stone, cemented in Denny Chimes. That's kind of a 8A tradition. And Coach Saban was there. He had his haircut looking, and I thought it was so funny. Coach Saban said, I was so glad to finally address the crowd. He says, listen, I'm one of you guys. I'm a fan now. And the crowd goes crazy and everything. You know, he's suited and booted, but this is good to see Coach Saban kind of enjoying life. You know, and we as fans, we're selfish. We want him to be on the sideline or whatnot. But I think it's good for him to enjoy family, enjoy friends, and yeah, I'm excited for Coach Saban. So, but yeah. So yeah, Coach Saban, he did the captains of last year, and that, you know, he went on the sideline. I think he got the loudest roar, him and Miss Terry at Bryant Denny, which is good. So yeah, it's very, very interesting to see him, and then to see him in the press box during the game with his family is just unique. And news came out today that Coach Saban will be doing the April 25th NFL draft coverage with ESPN. It'll be, you know, he has such a wealth of knowledge, coaching against different guys, recruiting different guys. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see him kind of start his other career. So, but yeah, Coach Saban, yeah, he's living life, enjoying life. But yeah, I'm kind of glad to see him kind of enjoy it. So, like I said, I just want to again reiterate, shouts out to the fans, 72,000 plus for Kalen DeBoer's first 8A. I saw this one tweet. They showed Washington spring game last year, and it looked like it was just such an empty stadium. It was only hold 70,000, but then he comes here and he gets 72 plus thousand for a spring game. I mean, I just think that meant a lot for Coach Kalen DeBoer. You know, just cool, calm, and collected. You know, I think he knows he's at the right place. And I think he's embraced all the traditions here at Alabama with him and his staff, Nick Sheridan, Jamarcus Shepard, all those guys, Coach Gillespie, Freddie Roach. So yeah. Now I will say this, kind of to get back to the 8A game. I talked about offense, defense. I will say an area we do have to work on, have to improve on. Kicker. We got to find a kicker. I know we had Connor Talty. we signed last year kicker. I think he missed one from deep, so I don't know what's going on. I know Coach DeBoer mentioned that there will be a competition regarding kickers. I think some other kickers, they didn't go as far as Connor Talton, but I think they were 1-for-1. So I do think we kind of might address the kicker situation in the portal if there's a kicker. Hopefully we can find some kicker who's got a soccer background. And he's just, I'll say this: Will Reichert was there, and I'm like, man, it feels. We had so much confidence with Will Reichert being at the helm, our kicker. We knew it was going to go in. So that's something I don't think a lot of Bama fans really really thought about. But yeah, that's something I want to discuss. We're going to have to address the kicking situation if we want to get to that national title, win the SEC like we want to. So I wanted to address that. So let's get to a few more comments. Jeff Stapleton says Seth left us, but to be honest, I'm glad he's gone. Yeah, Seth was in. He's up at Ohio State as well as Caleb Downs. Now, I think this is a good opportunity to discuss other spring games. I know Georgia had their spring game before ours. It was pretty competitive. It looked like Alabama in the past, just like Saban 8A or whatnot. I think they call it the G-Day, black and red or whatever. So Georgia had theirs. Ohio State had theirs. I think Julian Sand threw a pick. Chip Kelly's the new offensive coordinator. I don't know how the snaps went up there, but I wasn't paying attention. I believe like Ohio State's solid, but I think they got some areas to work on as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. I know Georgia, they look really good, competitive on their spring game. Let's see who else. Ole Miss had a unique spring game. They didn't really do anything. They had like events, like they had hot dog eating contests. All these different events, which I thought was a little bit, I don't know. I just think it was, I don't know what Kiffin's doing. I don't know why you don't spend that time to practice and play and get better as a team, as a unit. I just think he may be kind of overthinking it. I think he's maybe putting more pressure on himself. That's just my opinion, because I think this is one of Ole Miss's best opportunities to kind of make a run, but the whole hot dog eating contest and all these different games outside of football, I just think that was, to the fan, that might look cool, but I don't know, how does that help your football program? Like, I don't know, what does that do for your team? I know you have 14 practices, but I just don't know. That just, to me, I just think he's just doing a little bit too much, kind of getting in his head, overthinking it. I think he's putting more pressure on himself. Quite. So let's see. Jeff Stapleton said, no, Scott's the reason we had 8 starters out 2 weeks. Yeah, before the 2018 season. Yeah. I love Scott Cochran. He did great. If we just going to have him there for the energy on the sideline, but like, I just don't know. I don't want him near just the team, just because of the injury bug. We would get players out left and right towards the end. So, I love what David Ballou is doing. Like I said, I think the energy will be there. It's just a spring game. It is what it is. But I love Scott Cochran. He brings so much juice. I don't think nobody brings it like that. But I think Alabama has enough coaches, from Coach Shepard, Ballou, Freddie Roach. You got Ha, you got Josh Chapman, you got all those guys on the sideline. So I think they'll be fine. But yeah, I love Cochran, but let's kind of keep him away from those guys playing, because I don't want those guys getting hurt. It's like Coach Cochran was there, for one spring, was in Tuscaloosa not too long ago. Then the next week or the next day, Jalen Hill got hurt. So I'm like, hey, listen, let's keep him as far away as possible. And I love Coach Cochran. I'm just saying, I don't want him to be anything to do near with our players. I don't want our players to get hurt. I want them to stay healthy. So let's stay in the conversation. Shouts out to Reese. Shouts out to Reese. Hi, Reese. How are you? Roll Tide, roll. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's see. Reese McDuffie. Yeah, she does an amazing job. Shouts out to Reese. Shouts out to Lori Caddell. Jeff Stapleton said he's on the phone. He'll be back in a minute. So, like I said, I got so much stuff. So we discussed 8A. I'll wrap it up just saying I think it was all in all a great, spring. Like I said, I don't know what Ole Miss was doing. Me personally, I mean, I don't know. I just think that was a lot. I just think you have an opportunity to get better as a team, and you get to iron some things out. I just think going back to Alabama, Coach KDB's first 8A spring, I think he did a lot. I think we saw the improvements that we wanted to see, and I think there's some areas that we need to continue to improve on. I mentioned the defensive secondary being a little bit more aggressive. I think it's just a lot different, new defensive scheme, but I think they'll work on. I think, obviously no more missed tackles. We're missing a lot of tackles initially. I think they'll get that ironed out, but I'm just glad to see the creativity on the offense. I know a vanilla on both sides. I still think we got to get the kicker situation. I think they'll probably be looking in the portal, but all in all, I think it was a really solid 8A game. Alabama's got some stuff to work on, to build on. Like I said, Coach Kalen DeBoer, he's one of those coaches. He sees weaknesses. He's going to really be in. I'm quite sure he's having conversations with Coach Saban about certain drills, Coach Womack, all that stuff. They're going to get some things ironed out regarding, still not a finished product, but they still got a long way to the season start. So all in all, I think it was really, really good 8A weekend, 8A festivities. It was just amazing. Shouts out to the Bama fans. Y'all showed up and showed out. But yeah, I think it was really good for Coach KDB's new offense, his new team. First spring game, I thought it was a really, really good 8A, and I think Bama fans are excited. I think we're able to get over the hump of not having Coach Saban on the sideline. It's just kind of different. So, it's just exciting to be back in T-Town. So, shouts out to Lushawn. He says, roll daggum Tide. Y'all, roll Tide. He says, 8A was amazing. Yeah, he had beautiful weather, 72,000 plus. You cannot beat that. Now, I know a lot of people were saying, look at the field, but it's been times, like I said, it's not game day yet. I know opposing fan bases try to joke about Alabama's field. Listen, this is a method to the madness. They installed a new drainage system, just a whole different field type in itself. And they're trying to prepare the field to last even longer, just because this year they're having the 12-team playoffs, so I think they're kind of preparing the grass in the event that they have host a playoff game in this year's 12-team playoffs. So I think that that had a lot to do with it. It's just spring. We've had crazy weather. I think they're trying to treat the field for the fall more so than the spring. So they're doing a lot of different things and trying to get the field in tip-top shape for the season. Bobby Caddell says the Tide's up and rolling for sure. So but yeah, we mentioned everything. We talked about the defense, the offense, Milroe. I thought the receivers could have done a better job. We mentioned kind of the portal need. Oh, another interesting thing, Caden Proctor was at the game. He wasn't on the field per se, but he was, he hasn't enrolled yet, so I don't think he could be on the sideline. But seeing Caden Proctor there, I think that's a good in the right direction to have him. He's going to enroll, I think, once the portal opens tomorrow, and everything. So it's interesting to see Caden Proctor just in the stands and shorts. It was so interesting to see. But yeah, we mentioned Coach Saban, Coach KDB, just all different types of just conversations with certain players. Now, I want to go over the final stats from the spring game. Let's see. Ty Simpson. Well, Jalen Milroe Ty Simpson led passing 7-12, 102 yards. Jalen Milroe 3 of 9. I think Jalen Milroe had like 4 drops. I think Ty had like 2 drops. That's why I said at the beginning of the show, the receivers got to do a better job of catching the ball. Lonergan looked pretty solid. Austin Mack looked pretty solid. So as a total, I think this is kind of what the offense is going to be from the quarterback position. I think you're going to see a lot of high 300-yard, maybe passing high 200, low 300 passing yards, couple TDs. That's just going to be an average in this new KDB offense. Receiving, I mentioned Bernard led all receiving yards with 122 yards. Cole Adams, who I think is kind of going to be the second coming of Hunter Renfrow / Wes Welker. He got a lot of touches. Emmanuel Henderson had 3 receptions. Kobe Prentice, those type guys. Caleb Odom. It was interesting to see how we're going to use Kendrick Law. I think we're going to use Kendrick Law in a lot of different type of facets regarding the offense, whether it's, he had a rushing, a lot of jet sweeps, I know we didn't show a lot, but I think we got a lot in the package for Kendrick Law. So, defense, surprisingly, Justin Okoronkwo, he led with 11 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Jeremiah Alexander didn't do too bad. Red Morgan was number 3 in tackles. So, like I said, the offense won 34-28. So, I think we're defensively, if we can get the defense where we want to be, I think Alabama's going to be defense and special teams. I think Alabama's going to be where they want to be. But I think this is a good. That's why I thought the 8A was so important. That way you can see where you are, things you need to work on, needs you need to address moving forward. That way we can get ready for the football season. So let's see. Let's get to my next topic before I get to the NFL. No, let's go straight to the NFL. So let's go to the student section. We need a couple big boys, but the big guys need to be able to move, not be a builder. Yeah, I think one thing, I think the offensive line, I thought they created a lot of good seams. The running backs seem to be, setting up blocks, setting the holes. I think what Coach Cap's doing is a lot. I thought all the offensive line, I think we got a lot of depth. I think it's going to pay dividends for us in the fall. But I do think in the portal, I think we're going to address some defensive needs, maybe in the secondary defensive back. And I think we're going to address offensive line. We're getting Caden Proctor. We might address maybe an interior lineman from somewhere, but I thought Booker, Brockenmeyer, Jaden Roberts didn't perform, but Formby, Elijah Pritchard, I think those guys held their own. And I think the front 7 on the defensive end held their own. Like I said, we didn't have Jaheim Otis or Jahai Campbell, so I think that plays a lot into the defense, the tempo, the aggressiveness. So it's going to be interesting to see. So yeah, let's now let's get to the NFL topic. I've got shouts out to Farrell Caddell. He says, "Roll Tide, roll. Can't wait to MJ get the ride, baby." 11. Sounds like the Pharaoh Caddell. Now let's get to NFL. We discussed. I think we wrapped up just about everything I want to discuss regarding A-Day. Like I said, I have a lot to discuss regarding the NFL. So first and foremost, big news today: Devontae Smith signed his deal. He's got an extension. Shouts out to the Eagles. I know Reese McDuffie. She's a big Eagles fan. Fly Eagles fly. But Devontae Smith, the former Heisman Trophy winner at Alabama, national champion, Biletnikoff, whatever you want to do, he gets his extension. He gets a 3-year extension from the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he gets 51 of 3 years, 75 million, 51 million guaranteed. Shouts out to Howie Roseman. I think that's what's I think he's such a great GM. He knows how to go ahead and get guys signed up early before the market sets. I think that's what's kind of handicapping the Dallas Cowboys, for instance, because guys like CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, a lot of these big time receivers going to be due for big contracts, and the market is kind of continuing to set and build and build and build. Once Jamar Chase gets his contract, then Justin Jefferson wants to set it. I think smart GMs like a Howie Roseman at the Philadelphia Eagles knows how to go ahead and solidify his players early. Go ahead and pay them early, give them something that they can agree on instead of waiting for his rookie contract to end. I think Howie Roseman and the Eagles know how to do it. I think that's why they know how to solidify, keep their Super Bowl winning window or NFC East winning window open, because they know how to handle the business side of it. So Tracy McDuffie says, "Fly Eagles fly." Yeah. Shouts out to Devontae Smith. I mean, him getting paid. Now I want to discuss this now. Devontae Smith getting paid. How is that going to affect? I mentioned other receivers in the wide receiver market: CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I wanted to specifically see how is that going to affect the Miami Dolphins with Jalen Waddle. Those two got drafted in the same draft, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out with Jalen Waddle. Does the Miami Dolphins go ahead and, kind of give him a 3-year extension, similar, 51 million? I mean, you look at the stats compared, I believe Jalen Waddle has better stats than Devontae Smith. So, I mean, I think he has more touchdowns. They're about the same. No, Devontae Smith has one more touchdown than him at 19. Jalen Waddle has 18 TDs. Now they're about the same on yards per reception. They're both 13 yards. Devontae's 13.2, and Jalen Waddle is 13.5 yards. But Jalen Waddle has them beat in the receiving yards. So, like I said, does the Miami Dolphins kind of see that and like, hey, let's go ahead and get this deal, a similar deal signed up for Jalen Waddle? And speaking of Jalen Waddle, I think he's in the hold on, let's address some comments. Let's pause real quick. He says OC and DC on the sidelines, I prefer that. They can interact with offense, defense, Matt. Yeah, I agree. Having the coaches' headsets, I think Alabama did a good job kind of, being able to have the headsets, offensive, defenses, getting the plays in, those type things. RTR, Geraldine Jenkins, Drewski, is this your channel? No, this is the CTS-Sports Room channel, but you can find Football University every Monday night here on the CTS Sports Room channel. So hopefully that addresses your questions, comments. Shouts out to you all. So I mentioned the Miami Dolphins. We talked about Jalen Waddle possibly getting a receiver contract. Like I mentioned, this is about 5 or 6 receivers that need to get paid. But I want to discuss Tua Tagovailoa. Tua Tagovailoa is he's now a lot of voluntary offseason workouts are happening, or OTAs, what you call them, other team activities, basically offseason. And you know, a lot of guys like CeeDee Lamb are in contract negotiations. They're holding out, you know, which you can do that. You have the right to, but I think it's best just to go ahead and be in the football facility. That way they see that listen, he's dedicated, you know, regardless of contract negotiations. That might help speed up the negotiations. You know, you don't have to do much, but I think just being in attendance really shows how you are for the team. Now, one good thing I want to discuss Tua Tagovailoa. Tua had his luau. I believe it was in Miami or Hawaii. And Tua mentioned that he's excited about being in Miami. And I think he knows they're working on a deal now. A news report did break. Jeff Fowler said the Miami Dolphins are willing to offer Tua Tagovailoa a sizable contract, but it might not be as high as Burrow or Justin Herbert's numbers, which I think is really, really good. And I think it's going to be, it might not be in the $55 million range, but I think it'll probably be in the 45, 40 type million range. I think it's going to be a sizable contract. And I think that's actually a smart move by him, because I think actually, you know, the LA Chargers, Herbert's contract is crazy, crazy. You know, once Burrow set the market, then, you know, Herbert had to set the market. But I think the Miami Dolphins, I don't think they have to do all that. I think they can get Tua to agree on a really, really good deal with those guys, where he doesn't have to break the bank and really hurt the Miami Dolphins. And like I mentioned earlier, some guys choose not to report the OTAs or off-season workouts. Listen, the Miami Dolphins reported today Tua was there. You know, he's focused on building the team, being a leader, helping Miami Dolphins, you know, take that next step in the AFC East. So shouts out to Tua. I wouldn't be surprised he gets paid. I think once his contract gets set, that it won't set the market. It won't be higher than Burrow's or Herbert's, which I don't believe it deserves to. But, you know, you could make the argument that he did, because Tua led the NFL in passing yards last year, took him to a playoffs this past year. So, listen, they got a lot to do. You know, I think he's a future quarterback, but I think he's going to get a sizable contract. And I think Jalen Waddle, since the Devontae Smith news broke, I think he's going to get a contract or possibly franchise tag. But if you can do it without franchise tagging, I think that would be good for Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. Let's see. We mentioned Devontae Smith, Tua. Let's get to my next topic. Devontae Smith, Tua. Speaking of 8A, Bryce Young was in Tuscaloosa for 8A. Bryce Young, he reported to the Carolina Panthers camp up there in Charlotte. You know, they have the new coach this year, and I think it's just going to pay dividends for Bryce Young. He was at the Hornets game. So that was kind of the news was breaking. Cam Newton had some interesting comments about Bryce Young on Club Shay Shay. We know Club Shay Shay outside of Football University is really one of the hottest shows there is. But yeah, Cam Newton, I mean, that's a really good interview, but he was discussing, you know, things from the Iron Bowl rivalry, you know, the whole Scam Newton, the Carolina Panthers. And Shay asked him, what does Bryce Young need to do? And he basically said Bryce Young's got to be more of a vocal leader within the locker room. I know it's different being a rookie in an NFL locker room, because you're dealing with much older guys. You know, you're dealing with guys that are, you know, 30s, 35s, got families, kids. You know, you got to kind of find a way to find your niche and be a leader. And I think, you know, he showed flashes, and I think Bryce Young will do that under Coach Canales under the helm as the new head coach for the Carolina Panthers. So Mentioned Bryce Young. He was in Tuscaloosa, which I thought was a really, really good good look for for Alabama. Excuse me. So let's see. Let's stick it in the NFL. So roll tide, let's get a few comments. Jeff Stapleton says the board changed it up offensively against defense, good on good. Matt, yeah, he changed it up. It's just a different format. We're just accustomed to the whole Saban format. They still had steaks and for the steaks and beans and weenies for the losers, so they still carried on that tradition. They still kept the, football awards after the game as well. So Jeff Stapleton says Scott Cochran can stay at Georgia. Yeah, I don't want him near. I don't want him to get any injuries or anything like that. Let's see. Tracy McDuffie says, not Scam Newton. Yeah. I mean, this is a really good. I really do enjoy Club Shay Shay. I mean, he has a lot of great interviews. We know the whole Cat Williams, kind of broke the internet and just made 2024 a whole different year or whatnot with that interview. But I mean, that Cam Newton, he goes in depth to, his journey from Florida, talking about the Florida locker room, Tim Tebow, all those guys, Urban Meyer, Dan Mullen, basically saying Dan Mullen was the quote unquote person who him and his wife kind of threw Cam under the bus. That way they can get investigated by the NCAA. So he goes in depth on covering a lot. He talks about the Falcons saying, hey, they spent too much money on Kirk Cousins, but I don't want to spoil it for you. It's just a really good interview. So shouts out to Shay Shay. Shay Shay need to have me, Football University, on your show. I'll give you what you want. Yeah. James Knox says, Roll Tide, fan, Roll Tide. Jeff Stapleton says, I don't care nothing but the time, Matt, and the Stallions. 3-0, giddy up. Yeah, speaking of UFL, I know we discussed NFL. I'm going to go back to the NFL. UFL doing their thing, Stallions 3-0. AJ McCarron, listen, he's still doing his thing with the St. Louis Battlehawks. He had a rushing touchdown this past weekend as well as other plays, he made out there. So AJ McCarron doing his thing in the UFL. I know Reuben Foster, first week, I think he had like a pick. He's making sure it's just a good opportunity for guys. But if Stallions, they're doing their things. I think the Stallions could beat the Falcons. All those Falcons fans out there rise up. Interesting enough, Dallas Turner. Let's get to the draft, NFL draft. Now, I do think Dallas Turner will be the first defensive player taken in the first top 10 picks. Obviously you're going to get a run on quarterbacks. Caleb Williams, Jay Daniels, Drake May. A lot of people are saying McCarthy. I'm not too high on McCarthy, but maybe that's why I'm here on Football University. But I'm not as high. Now, I like Michael Penix. I probably maybe prefer Bo Nix over JJ McCarthy. But, I do think it's going to be a run on quarterbacks in the first 10 picks. Maybe 3 or 4 quarterbacks. There's going to be a run on receivers. Obviously, Malik Neighbors possibly can go number 1. Marvin Harrison can be the first receiver. I think Romeo Duzier is going to be in that top 3 receivers going in. And I think Dallas Turner at number 8, if a team doesn't trade up or trade back, whatever, is going to be that first pick for the first defensive pick for the Atlanta Falcons. So for all those Falcons fans, I do think Dallas Turner is going to be Atlanta Falcons. Now, now speaking of the draft, now Jim Nagy, he does a great job with the Senior Bowl. I just had to bring this up. Now, one thing about Jim Nagy, he's all about his guys that come to the Senior Bowl. And he did this tweet the other day talking about Quinyon Mitchell, the DB from Toledo, and Terrion Arnold. And he was just saying how basically kind of throwing shade on Arnold's 40 time, saying, official 4.5 compared to Quinyon Mitchell. I don't know why Terrion Arnold is ranked ahead of Mitchell, and that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I was like, oh, we're going to discuss this at Football University. And I get it. You're for your guys that perform at the Senior Bowl. Now, Q Mitchell is a really good quarterback. He performed well at the Senior Bowl. He did great at the Combine. He did great at all this stuff. But to me, I just think you look at Terry Arnold. Like, to me, Terry Arnold his footwork is second to none. 4.5 is really fast. I don't know why he was trying to dog the man as a 4.5, acting like that's really slow. You look at Jerry Rice, 4.5 is really fast. You look at the top defenders, you look at the top DBs in Sauce Gardner, for instance. I don't even think he hit a 4.4, but he's one of the top secondaries he one of the top all-pro secondaries in the league, cornerbacks in the league. So I don't know why he was trying to throw that shade on Arnold, but look, you just look at the tape. Look at the competition. I'm like, look at the competition. Look at the tape. Look at how Terry Arnold, look at the competition. He went against Malik Neighbors, Lad McConkey, Adonai Mitchell, Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy. All these guys are probably going to be he probably went against 6 of the top 8 receivers is coming out in this draft outside of Marvin Harrison and Romeo Aduzier. So he went against all those guys, and he did perform very, very, very well. And you can put him inside or outside. I think he's interchangeable for that. So I just had to address that. Honestly. And you look at his footwork, the level of competition that he went against, to me, that's second to none. Whereas Q Mitchell is good. He did great in the Senior Bowl week, but to me, I need to see the whole package. Terry Arnold still have more pass breakups than him. So I just had to get that off my chest because that's what we do here at Football University. Also, Kool-Aid's medicals came back. They say everything's good. He had that minor surgery after the pro day. They say Kool-Aid's medicals came back looking good. So I know Mel Kiper's draft board has Kool-Aid going number 30 to the Baltimore Ravens. I don't see him falling that far. I think the Kool-Aid talks start happening as early as 21, 22 with the Philadelphia Eagles looking to help, solidify that secondary. You can possibly look at the Eagles, but I do think he's going to be in the NFC North. He's either going to be a Detroit Lion or a Green Bay Packer at 25. So that's my take on Kool-Aid. So it mentioned Kool-Aid. J.C. Latham, I did see on Mel Kiper's draft board. He possibly goes as high as 11 to the Chargers. But I don't think he'll be left on the board past 18 to the Cincinnati Bengals. So and he's got Terry Arnold going 15 to the Colts. I think that's about right there, right good for Terry Arnold for the Colts. I think that'd be a good look for him. So, so let's get to a few comments before we wrap it up. Tracy Cam Newton better stick to his podcast. Cam Newton's got a really good podcast too. Cam Newton's decked out in the fashion, he's a fashion nova, whatever you want to say. I don't have that. I'm just always polo shirt, keep it simple. But yeah, Cam Newton has a great show. Jeff Stapleton says Overton from A&M. Yeah, I think he's going to be solidified. I think we got so much talent up front. I think we're going to be very, very good defensively. And I just think we were very vanilla. Now, some things we can work on. We got to find us a kicker, got to shore up those missed tackles. And we got to be a little bit more aggressive on the secondary, but I think all in all we'll be and just get more depth and experience. I think we'll be fine. So thank you all for tuning in. It's been another great show, Football University. Thank you all to the comments, Lori Caddell, Jeff Stapleton, Tracy McDuffie, James Knox, 6-0, Drewski, Geraldine Jenkins, Farrell Caddell, Lucian, Reese, McDuffie, Douglas Caddell, Bobby Caddell, Velma Stuttermeyer, Farrell Caddell, all you all. Thank you all for tuning in. Tune in next week as we'll have another action-packed show. I'm quite sure we'll be discussing Porter news and the latest updates, football, SEC, NCAA, NFL. But thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a blessed week. I love you all, and thanks for tuning in to Football University. Tune in next week. Bring a friend, and have a great weekend of football.